Hey guys, it's Becky Bamboo. Today is, what is today? Thursday, April 23rd, 2015. I'm really tired, y'all. I'm not gonna lie, so I apologize for anything I might say that doesn't make any sense. I'm just kind of flying by the seat of my pants. I haven't done an update in a little while. Actually, I tried to do an update, I guess it's been almost 2 weeks ago, when I was on my way to get my back injected. But I guess that was last week. Anyway, I was on my way to get my back injected, but I never got the video uploaded. And anyway, so I did get my back injected, and I've actually had a pretty decent result with it. I've had some pain relief. It lasted, it's really lasted me week or so, and now it's kind of starting to, I'm noticing that the pain is kind of coming back. Some of the other symptoms are coming back. This is a fiddly game that I have to play with my back and these injections. It's usually a multi-step process. One doesn't usually cover you well enough to say, we'll just wait a while. You usually need 2 or 3 to kind of really settle everything down, especially as long as it's been for me since I'd had them. I hadn't had an injection in almost a year, so I was kind of past due for it. But I did get some benefits, so I'm grateful for whatever extra help I can get. I'm just thankful for. So, but I'm starting to get more hurty again, which sucks. But it's kind of the story of my life, and it will be for a long time to come. So, whatever. I'm back to work now. I went back. This is my second week back, I guess. It's been an interesting time going back to work. My boss had called me the week before I went back, and kind of gave me instructions. Don't let me overwhelm you. Don't let me bombard you. If you feel like you need me to back off on anything, you need to be honest and let me know. I don't want you to be overwhelmed and feel like quitting the first week you come back to work. And she really did. She hit me really hard right off the bat with just playing catch up on stuff. There was a lot of things that are mandatory things with my company that have to be done every year. Those kind of fell at the wrong time for me because I was gone. So now it's just playing catch up on things that have to be taken care of. In addition to those things, before I left, really before I went on medical restricted duty, which has been quite a while ago. That was partway through my pregnancy. I went on reduced hours. I gave up some of the workload that I was doing. It was just too much at the time. And a lot of those duties were kind of managerial things. So things I don't really get paid extra to do. I just do them because I'm efficient at what I do, and I'm good at what I do. I don't mean to sound like, pompous or stuck up or anything like that. I'm good at what I do. And so by virtue of that, over time, I've been delegated many additional jobs to do because I can do them well. So I gave up a lot of that stuff. So my first week back, I got hit with a lot of that kind of stuff that my boss was wanting to give back to me, wanted me to get back involved with. So I finally had to say early this week, enough. I have to catch up and get back acclimated to doing some of this stuff before we add more on. It's kind of funny. When I started at my clinic, I was a part-time employee, and a new person to the field, working with a team that had been in the field many, 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 many years. The advantage to that is I got trained really, really well. And they made sure I knew what I was doing backwards and forwards, and I'm for real grateful for that, because that's what's made me good at what I do. It's made me detail oriented and to really know this job. But over the first 2.5 years that I worked there, a lot changed. One of my coworkers had cancer. She ended up passing away. My other main coworker ended up leaving after the other one passed away. I think it just was too much. It was difficult. They'd worked together for a very long time. It was hard to be in that place. And it was hard for me, somebody who'd only worked with her a couple of years. We work very close. We're a very close group. You have to be. We work in essentially two-person team. You have to trust those that you work with. And so we got really close. And so, I mean, there's not a time that I'm in the clinic that I don't think about the girl that passed away. I mean, there's evidence of her still there over 2 years later. So, it's been kind of a weird road. So I went from being this new person, part-time person, to now I eventually became full-time. And now, essentially, I'm like the leader in the clinic. So me having been gone for 4.5 months really put a weird twist on things in there. Other people were having to do jobs they're not accustomed to doing, and things weren't, I can say now, now that I'm back, things really didn't get done necessarily the right way, but things got done the best way that they could get done, given the circumstances. So it's been really interesting. I know that my boss has missed me tremendously because I know how much work I do that I don't really get paid to do. I do it because I can. I do it because I care about my patients. And, it's just, I get a lot of personal value out of doing my job, doing it well, and doing the most that I can. And I also recognize that this extra stuff that I'm doing puts me in a good position to move up in the future, to move to a different platform in my career. One that I'm not ready to go to right now because it's more time demanding, even though I know it's more money. It's more time demanding, and with 2 small children, it's just not the right time. But as I get older, and I recognize that these are the things that if I do them now and do them well, that it will pay off. It will pay off down the road. And so I'm just, I kind of just do it. The other thing I have to say is I work very closely with a lot of doctors. And I've been doing my job, it'll be almost 4 years now. And some of them didn't really know what happened. They didn't really get the memo that, I was going out on early maternity leave. One of the doctors is kind of our house doctor. She knew what was going on and has called me and, welcome back, I'm so glad to hear your voice. And, kind of, it's nice to hear that. The other 2 main ones that we work with were both in my first week back, and the look on one of their faces was hysterical. He looked at me like, where did you come from? And he said, I thought maybe you didn't work here anymore. I said, no, I just went out on maternity leave early. And so it was a lot of explaining, and I got a lot of very nice compliments of, it's so good to have you back, and we've really missed your work ethic and the way that you handle these patients. And I've had several of the doctors tell me how much they trust what I do and my judgment. And there's no better compliment for a nurse than for a doctor to say, I trust you with my patients, and when you call me and ask for something, I pretty much don't even think about it. I just say yes, because I know that you wouldn't ask if you didn't believe that that's truly what needed to be done. And it's nice to hear that. That makes you feel like what you do has value, and to have doctors trust your judgment is the end all be all in nursing, really. So that it's been kind of interesting the last 2 weeks getting back acclimated to all of that. I've been really trying to watch my food, being back at work, not snacking too much. I still snack some. Just trying to get back out of those old habits. And what I've discovered is I truly have, I truly am eating too much at a time. It's not really the amount of times a day that I'm eating. It's more the portion sizes. I've got to start getting that under control. I really think my pouch is not what it used to be, and it probably shouldn't be. I've had 2 kids post weight loss surgery, there's been a lot of changes in my body in that amount of time. So, it is what it is. I do think I one of these. I have a stretch of days coming up, 6 days in a row that I'm off. And I'm really playing with the idea of doing the 5-day pouch test just to see if I can get a little bit more restriction back. I don't have a lot right now at all. And that's kind of scary to me. It's scary the volume that I can eat. So I would really like to see if I can get that back going. My treadmill will be here next week on Tuesday, which is taken forever to get it. It's so aggravating to me how long it's taken. But it will be here finally next week on Tuesday, which I'm ecstatic about. Now, how much longer it'll be before I get it put together is another good question. Unfortunately, we've had a death in the family this week. My husband's grandmother has passed away, and I've been with my husband for over 12 years. So his grandmother is my grandmother at this point. I don't have any more grandmothers living. I've had the rare treat of knowing all of my grandparents as an adult. I still have one who's alive. He's 96, one of my grandfathers. But, surrogate grandparents are just as good as grandparents. And I've always kind of had a special connection with his grandmother, especially this one. She was just a spitfire lady. Like, she just one of them, she told you what she thought. She didn't really care what you thought about what she thought, and didn't care if it hurt your feelings. And I can appreciate that. One of my grandmothers was very much like that, and I kind of grew up with that. And in a lot of ways, I'm kind of like that. So we always got along really well. And, in some of my darkest times, it seems like she was the only one I had that was really very supportive of me. And I always appreciated that. So it's kind of sad. So we have, visitation and funeral coming up over the weekend and early next week. And, it's kind of trying to figure out with 2 kids, how are we going to juggle this? Are we going to take the kids to a funeral? Are we going to, if the services are Monday, the kids can be in daycare and I can just drive up by myself, which I think is kind of the way that I'm leaning. I don't think taking a 2.5-year-old is really a great idea to a funeral. He doesn't understand, and he's at an age where he kind of just does his own thing, and it takes a lot of parental guidance to keep him, in control. I can keep him in control, I don't mean that, but it takes a lot of work on my part to do so. So I won't really get to go through the mourning process that I feel like is probably imminent at this thing. So, I'm hoping I can kind of get away with leaving my kiddos at home and just taking a day trip by myself to go do this. But, I don't know when we'll get to putting a treadmill together, but, it is what it is. That's life. Life always throws you a curveball when you least expect it. And unfortunately, it's come, and really his grandmother has been very sick on and off for the last, year, so the fight's finally over for her, which is good, and she died peacefully in her sleep, which you can't ask for anything better than that. It's just it's always hard to lose people, even people you don't know very well. It's still sad. The loss of life is sad. So yeah, we got that going on. Both my kiddos are doing really well. Obviously, this one is fine. She's growing like crazy. She's fat now. She's really fat. She's chubby, which I love. Chubby babies are supposed to be chubby, in my opinion. That means they're healthy and they're, eating and doing what they're supposed to do. It amazed me with my son when he got chubby. I think most babies get chubby. And as he became a toddler, he just has slimmed up so much. He's just very slim, very healthy little boy, and so it's kind of fun to watch them. And I just kind of had an emotional moment today with her, just thinking she's almost 2 months old now. She's 8 weeks old. She'll be 2 months on Saturday, and it's like that time goes so fast. And as I'm sitting here feeding her a bottle this afternoon, I'm just thinking, I can't even believe that it will be no time until she is walking and talking, and that these moments do not last very long. So you have to absorb them as much as you can, and it's hard because it just in the blink of an eye they change so much and grow so quickly. So anyway, enough of that. So that's my update. I hope everybody's well. I'll see y'all soon. Mwah.